And like I said, it might just be this particular pen, right? It might be a manufacturing error. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Is It Worth It, where I go around the globe and the internet looking for supplies to help you become a better artist or just enjoy the process that much more. So in today's episode, we are actually going to inking, a little something different than what I normally do, which is markers, which I love, but we're going to go to inking, which is something that I don't necessarily love, so you know that the review is going to be as honest as possible. And today we are actually going to be reviewing the Pentel Arts sign pen, which has a flexible brush pen. And so I'm actually interested in this one because I've dealt with another pen from Tombow that actually does the same thing. And so I'm wondering if Pentel's pen holds up or is any different. I saw them at Michael's and I figured, you know what? This would be something interesting to pick up. So yeah, here we go. We have this Pentel Sign Arts pen, and we are going to check it out. So come on, let's see what it can do. Alright, so as you can see, the packaging is not necessarily anything special. It's a piece of chipboard, a little bit of cardboard on it, and a plastic container. So you get to see it, which is cool. There's a lot of information on here. It says the brush tip, black ink, water-based, flexible tip, and let's see, it says smooth flowing water-based dye ink, unique durable brush tip, ideal for artists and anyone who enjoys drawing or sketching. So there you go, Pentel Arts sign pen. Let's go check. Let's open them up. Alright, so it's a small pen. Alright, so that's instantly something that I'm noticing. Like it's a really small pen, right? Well, no, I guess not. Not very much. Okay, maybe it just feels small because the pen is actually thicker. It's thicker, so it feels small. But it's round-ish, right? So it's got all of these perforated edges, I guess, so these flat sides. So this thing shouldn't roll very much, right? Like eventually it should stop, right? So with enough force, it'll roll off your table, but it does have all these flat edges to help it from not rolling off of your table. It's got this weird glittery texture to it, right? So they put some glitter in it. I still feel as though this thing is really tiny, but it's really not, right? So it's not small. It's smaller, but it's not as small as I thought it was. So there's something like that. That little bit though, at least for my hand, right? So that little extra gives me a little bit extra on the side for my big old hands. So you gotta keep that in mind, that it is a little bit smaller. So if you got big hands like I do, it might not work out as well as you want it to. But like, I can tell that holding on to this is going to be a problem for me. It's got a nice clip. It's got a nice snap to it, right? So there's that. Let's see if it sticks onto the back. It does. Well, okay, so there's that. The nib itself is just another one of those nice plastic brush nibs, which is nice. It looks good. I like the fact that the nib is actually further out from its holder, which allows us to get just a little bit further as far as the drawing goes. So this is, it is a nice nib. It seems pretty strong. Let's try it out. All right. I think for me, like if I have to use this pen, I would have to put the cap on. Like I couldn't use it without the cap, right? Because the pen is just that much too small. So, but with the cap on, it gives me that extra length that I need to have it in my hands. So let's see. All right. It does flow, right? It is flowing out pretty nicely. Although there are some spots where the ink is not necessarily keeping up. So we're gonna keep it going a couple times. See about the little tick marks. I don't know. Once again, it might be a manufacturing error, right? But if you have a light hand, so what I'm realizing is if you're doing the light touch, right? If you're doing the light touch, you can start realizing that the ink will not flow out of the actual pen, right? But it does, if you put some pressure on, it does actually flow really nice, right? And I think that as we keep going, right, the more you push, the more that the ink actually comes out and flows nicely. It just seems as though if you are, going faster and have a light touch, the ink doesn't flow as well. But the nib itself is great, right? Because you can really get that nice like thick to thin. The problem is like right here, right? That's where the ink stops flowing, and that's a problem, right? And it's consistent on pretty much every line. Yeah, so that's a problem. And like I said, it might just be this particular pen, right? It might be a manufacturing error, but from what I'm seeing, even when I'm pushing harder now, you can tell in certain areas, like right here, right, where the ink doesn't flow all the way out, and that's just going to slow down your production, right? And you can't have that. The whole idea about these pens is that you can go faster, but if I need to slow down to make everything work, and every time you try and flick it, so if you're doing like straight lines like this, right, and you can slow it down or press really hard because you need a thick line, then this pen works really well. But if you're trying to make like hatch marks, the end of the ink kind of breaks apart. I mean, it's getting better now. Maybe it just needed to warm up. It seems to be getting better now. Yeah, it's flowing better now. Okay. Spoke too soon. All right. See, and it becomes a problem if you need to do curves. Yeah, every time it just kind of breaks up towards the end, and you need it to flow every time. You need it to keep going, right? Because otherwise, what's the point? Like it can't get darker and light. So as we go darker, and then the ink stops flowing as much as it goes through. So this one's almost meant for like even the small lines, right? So I can't. This one's not necessarily working the way I would hope. It's very inconsistent. Well, it's consistent in how it breaks up at the bottom edge, like at the last point. No matter which one you look at, it's always kind of failing towards the end. So we're gonna try something though. What do I do? So you can get some nice variation out of the pen, which is always nice, but it seems as though you really have to go slow for it to work. Somewhat decent. Right, so it does work, But like I said, once you start trying to do like these kind of flick marks or these hatch marks, right? It just always towards the end, it just always fades out and doesn't keep the line consistent, and the brush kind of breaks apart. So that's just not something that is good. And then let's see what happens when we probably should use a different marker. Use a different yellow. And I guess we'll use a blue just for good measure. There. Let's see what happens. Well, it doesn't smear. So it doesn't smear with the bright colors and stuff like that. So that's a plus. So if this is in fact a manufacturing issue and I can draw with it, right? I mean, this seems to work fairly decent like this if you're going slow, right? But like I said, if I come in and I'm trying to, it works now. See, it's weird because it'll work and then it won't work, right? So it's very inconsistent when it comes to stuff like that. But look, see, like as we move forward like that, that really works. So, I guess if you're sketching, but see, then it breaks apart, right? You start trying to do those hatch marks and it just kind of flakes apart. All right, and that's the part that's very important, right? You need to be able to do that. But then if you're doing shorter, smaller bursts, it seems to be more consistent to be okay. Right? And I want to say it's like, oh, once you warm it up, but then, still, once again, it just breaks apart towards the end. All right, so we just got done reviewing the Pentel Arts sign pen, and to be honest, I think there are other pens that are a little bit more consistent that will actually work better. Now, the benefit is you can get these at Michael's, so you can use the coupon code and stuff like that. But to be honest, I mean, there's so much wrong with this pen. For me, it was too small. I had to keep the cap on, and the cap did not snap. So as I was using it, it kind of kept coming off. So that wasn't really good. But as far as just the ink goes, if I'm trying to make these nice hatch marks or, like feathering, just to do hair or fur or anything for that matter, the fact that I would have to go over it 2 or 3 times just to ensure that the ends of it would actually be good, that's not worth it, right? Because it is adding time, and that's not making it enjoyable, and that's not making it better. It just seems as though you are now controlled by the utensil that you're using, because I had to slow down, you had to put more pressure on it to get a lot more ink out, and then, like I said, when you're doing that feathering, it just didn't work, right? It'd be nice at the beginning, and then it would fade out towards the end. Or it was just inconsistent, making a straight line in the middle, the ink didn't flow as well, so it would be darker, lighter, darker, or thicker and thinner and thicker. And so you were really at the mercy of the pen. And so, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's worth it. Maybe it is a manufacturing issue, and you can go check it out if you want to. Use the coupon code, get 30, 40, 50% off when they have it, and try it, and maybe it's better for you. And then you can leave me a comment and tell me, it's like, no, it worked just fine for me. And then I'll go buy another one and give it a second chance. But as of right now, this pen is not worth it. So, there you go. So thank you guys so very much for checking out this video. I hope that it was beneficial to you, and I hope that you learned something. And if for any reason you have any suggestions that you'd like to make for things that I should review, please put it in the comments below and I'll add it to the list. Thank you guys so very much. If you are new to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell so that you know every time that I release new content. Also, if you wouldn't mind, give it a like, give it a share, give me a comment, let me know what's going on. Thank you guys so very, very much, and I will see you at the next video.